Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my world, Putt Putt's World. Hope you are having a fantastic day, beautiful evening, wherever you are in the world. Hope you're having a great time. For today's episode, or today's video, we're doing something a little different. I haven't put out any videos like this before, but it's something that I wanted to try. So today we are exploring my personality type, which is a mediator, more specifically an INFP, and even more specifically an INFPT. What is the difference, you might ask? Here it gives us a very nice convenient link which shows us what is the difference between INFPA and INFPT, which is basically an assertive mediator or a turbulent mediator. I can give you a little quick rundown of what turbulent really is. It's basically, we're typically not comfortable with our current lives. We often use this dissatisfaction to try to become better people. However, when applied to mediators, this turbulent quality spins them in a distant direction. This drive to correct what they decide are flaws often pushes them to work hard, which in my sense is kind of true. So I've taken this test before, but I didn't really kind of read in depth of what my personality really is. I just knew I was an INFP, but I didn't really necessarily know what that meant. As you can see on the side here, on this right hand side, it gives me my results of what I am. So it gives you a role, and there's different roles within the Myers-Briggs test, and it determines your goals, interests, and preferred activities. And for me, I am a diplomat. Diplomats are usually advocates, mediators, protagonists, and campaigners, and we tend to be warm, caring, and generous individuals, shining in diplomacy and counseling. If you would like to take this test and read along with me, or even more about yourself and find out more about yourself, I will give the link to the website down in the description box below. And here below the diplomat, we have our strategy, and it determines how you approach everyday situations and achieve your goals, which in my case is constant improvement, which is honestly very, very accurate. And then below that, we have, I don't know what to call this, like a little percentage of two sides of a personality trait. I am 78% introverted and 22% extroverted. I have a 64% intuitive feeling, or not feeling, but I guess the way I approach life, I'm more intuitive than observant. I'm more of a feeling person. And when I first meet people, I'm assuming, I'm more prospecting than judging. I'm very turbulent rather than assertive. We are going to read basically an introduction, and we're just going to go through an introduction of what mediators are and what an INFP is, and then strengths and weaknesses, romantic relationships for us, friendships, parenthood, career paths, workplace habits, and conclusions. Yeah, I think this will be a very interesting video for me, just reading up on my personality more, because like I said, I don't really know much about INFP specifically. I just know I am one. So getting to the introduction, enough with all the chitter chatter. Mediator personalities are a true idealist, always looking for the hint of good and even the worst of people and events, searching for ways to make things better, which is very true for me. I like to see the good in everybody. While they may be perceived as calm, reserved, or even shy, mediators have an inner flame and passion that can truly shine. Comprising just 4% of the population, the risk of feeling misunderstood is unfortunately high for the mediator personality type. This sentence, the risk of feeling misunderstood and unfortunately high, kind of true. In a sense, every time I kind of go out, I feel kind of misunderstood by a lot of people, but you know, I don't really mind it. It's just more of a me problem, if anything. But this part is also true. When we find like-minded people to spend time with, we definitely feel happier and more in tune with our, or at least in my case, I feel more in tune with myself. When deciding how to move forward, they will look to honor beauty, morality, and virtue. Mediators are led by the purity of their intent, not rewards and punishment. Which is very true. I kind of lead by my morals inside and my beliefs. If it's right for me, if I believe so that it is right to do, then I will do it with my full intent. I don't look for rewards or punishments. I'm just kind of like in the moment when I'm doing it. I'm just like, oh wow, this feels great. Like I'm doing this because I want to, you know? People who share the mediator personality type are proud of this quality, and rightly so. But not everyone understands the drive behind these feelings, and it can lead to isolation, which is very true. And here we have a excerpt from J.R.R. Tolkien. All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. Very deep quote. At their best, these qualities enable mediators to communicate deeply with others, easily speaking in metaphors and parables. Fantasy worlds in particular fascinate mediators more than any other personality type, which is very true. I love anything that has to do with fantasy, just magic, and just the idea of fantasy. It just kind of fills my head with like so many endless possibilities of what you can do within a certain world, rather than our bleak real life. The strength of their visionary communication style lends itself well to creative works, and it comes as no surprise that many famous mediators are poets, writers, and actors. A little note about myself: I used to want to become an actor and a singer. Way back in the day, I used to write little songs in my notebook back in middle school when I wanted to sing. Not really a great singer. I believe I'm not a great singer. Rapper, maybe I can be a poet. Rapping is basically poetry in a sense, just with music. Understanding themselves and their place in the world is important to mediators, and they explore these ideas by projecting themselves into their work, which is so very true. I would just like to understand what my place is in the world and what I'm set here to do. Understanding myself is part of my journey to do that. That's why I'm doing YouTube, as a sort of medium of just trying to explore and just kind of know who I am, while also giving you guys some content. Mediators' ability with language doesn't stop with their native tongue either. As with most people who share the diplomat personality types, they are considered gifted when it comes to learning a second or third language. This is kind of true, I guess, in a sense for me. My girlfriend is obviously Vietnamese. I don't know the language. I can mimic the image. I can mimic the language, but I don't know how to speak it. If I took the time to learn it, maybe I could speak it. Same with Spanish. I'm very good at mimicking, but if I put maybe a little bit more effort into the language, then I would probably know how to speak it. I can kind of like understand based on people's like tone of voice and words, syntax, stuff like that. Little key words, I can just kind of be like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Mediators will focus their attention on just a few people, a single worthy cause. Spread too thinly, they'll run out of energy and even become dejected and overwhelmed by all the bad in the world that they can't fix. I get very overwhelmed by people who talk to me, and I'm just like, I tend to hear, back in high school, a lot of people called me therapist or whatever. I just listen to everybody's problems, or a lot of people's problems, and I just kind of help them with it. Just give them a little 2 cents. If they're not careful, mediators can lose themselves in their quest for good and neglect the day-to-day upkeep that life demands. Mediators often drift into deep thought, enjoying contemplating the hypothetical and the philosophical more than any other personality type. Also true, I tend to daydream a lot about theoretical things, just hypothetical situations in my head that I kind of play it out. I'm just like, all right, that's how it's gonna go. Yeah. And then it happens, and I'm just like, that's not what I thought in my head, which happens a lot. Left unchecked, mediators may start to lose touch, withdrawing into a hermit mode, and it can take a great deal of energy from their friends or partner to bring them back to the real world. Hermit mode is a very, very real thing. I'm gonna tell you that right now. If you know someone who's gone hermit mode for a while, just know they might be an INFP. Here are also some mediators we may know. William Shakespeare, Alicia Keys is a mediator. Tom Hiddleston, he plays Loki. Johnny Depp, really good actor known for Pirates of the Caribbean. Frodo Baggins from The Lord of the Rings. I haven't watched the movies, but it is on Netflix, and they have piqued my interest. Just knowing that Frodo Baggins is a mediator. So let's move on to the strengths and weaknesses that mediators have. We're very idealistic. Mediators' friends and loved ones will come to admire and depend on them for their optimism. Their unshaken belief that all people are inherently good, perhaps simply misunderstood, lends itself to an incredibly resilient attitude in the face of hardship. I'm very idealistic about every situation, no matter how bleak it is. Like, for example, in EDC, like, even if it's rain, I'm just like, oh, just, maybe the rain will pour out, or maybe the rain will just subside away, and, we can enjoy our music. But that's not really what happens, and, sucks, but I'm an idealist at heart. What can I say? We seek and value harmony. They prefer a more democratic approach and work hard to ensure that every voice and perspective is heard, which is very true. In my friend group, we tend to do things by ear and just, try to do it in a very democratic way, but it doesn't really happen. We just kind of do whatever everybody else thinks is good. Where there's peace, there's always chaos. Open-minded and flexible. A live and let live attitude comes naturally to mediators, and they dislike being constrained by rules. Very true as well. I try to be as open-minded as possible. Sometimes I can be closed-minded, but most of the time I try to be open-minded. I'm very go with the flow type of personality. Just kind of, just go with the flow, But yeah, this is very true. I also dislike having rules constraining me. It feels like I'm trapped in a box and I can't fully express myself. Being able to connect many far-flung dots into a single theme, it's no wonder that many mediators are celebrated poets and authors. This, I'm not very sure if I'm very creative. I would like to say that I am creative, just because I think in a very different way than other people, and it could be seen as creative. Passionate and energetic. When something captures a mediator's imagination and speaks to their beliefs, they go all in, dedicating their time, energy, thoughts, and emotions to the project. Their shyness keeps them from the podium, but they are the first to lend a helping hand where it's needed. And this is so very true. Sometimes sometimes I'm very infatuated with things, and it catches my attention so much to the point where I put all of my effort in. Sometimes thinking I don't put all of my effort in. We like to go all in. we don't half-ass everything. We like to go all in. We only half-ass things that we don't believe in, or we don't think is fun, or doesn't fit our standards. While others focusing on the challenges of the moment may give up when the going gets tough, mediators, especially assertive ones, have the benefit of their far-reaching vision to help them through. Knowing that what they are doing is meaningful gives people with this personality type a sense of purpose and even courage when it comes to accomplishing something they believe in. I can kind of agree with that. We're very dedicated with what we do, especially if our job is something that we truly, truly enjoy doing, or if, the actions that we're doing is truly, truly something that we resonate with. Mediator weaknesses. We're too idealistic sometimes. Mediators can often take their idealism too far, setting themselves up for disappointment, as again and again, evil things happen in the world. And this happens a lot, like I explained in the EDC example. Sometimes things don't go our way, and we're too idealistic about it, too altruistic. Mediators sometimes see themselves as selfish, but only because they want to give so much more than they are able to. This becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy as they try to push themselves to commit to a chosen cause or person, forgetting to take care of the needs of others in their lives, and especially themselves. I either see myself as being too selfish sometimes when I kind of don't care about others, and I forget to take care of others around me. But on the flip side, I care so much about others that I don't care about myself or my well-being sometimes, or the situation I'm in. And I'm very, very guilty of that. That's something I've learned for the past 4 years in my life. We can sometimes be impractical. When something captures mediators' imagination, they can neglect practical matters like day-to-day maintenance and simple pleasures. Sometimes people with a mediator personality type will take this asceticism so far as to neglect eating and drinking as they pursue their passion or cause. League of Legends is a very addicting game. I've spent too many hours on that game. Neglected eating, drinking, even peeing and pooping. Showering, I will admit. We're very impractical at times, and that is just one example. I've worked on it a lot, of taking care of myself, like having my alone time in the bathroom. Use the bathroom when you go number 2 without your phone. Just pay attention to your thoughts. Something to try at home. Dislike dealing with data. Mediators are often so focused on the big picture that they forget the forest is made of individual trees. When someone starts hitting me with the big facts, I'm just like, but the big picture, man, look at it, just, oh, it's so pretty. Take things personally. Mediators often take challenges and criticisms personally rather than as inspiration to reassess their positions. Avoiding conflict as much as possible, mediators will put a great deal of time and energy into trying to align their principles and the criticisms into a middle ground that satisfies everybody. I tend to take a lot of things personally, especially in relationships that are very close to me. If someone says something to me that kind of hurts my feelings, and I kind of just go like quiet mode. I kind of go, all right, okay, yeah, whatever. I've been trying to work on taking it as inspiration to reassess my position, or just looking at it as more of constructive criticism and trying not to let emotions in. Takes time, obviously. I'm still a very sensitive person, but we do take things very personally. Mediators are private, reserved, and self-conscious. This makes them notoriously difficult to really get to know, and their need for these qualities contributes to the guilt they often feel for not giving more of themselves to those they care about. If people are willing to give me the time and day to listen to me and get to know more about me, then that's all I need from them. Now, romantic relationships. Mediators are dreamy idealists, and in the pursuit of the perfect relationship, this quality shows strongest. Never short on imagination, mediators dream of the perfect relationship, forming an image of this pedestaled ideal that is their soulmate, playing and replaying scenarios in their heads of how things will be. Fortunately, these are qualities that mediators are known for, and while it can be a challenge to separate long-fostered fantasy from reality, mediators' tendency to focus their attention on just a few people in their lives means that they will approach new relationships wholeheartedly with a sense of inherent value, dedication, and trust. Mediators share a sincere belief in the idea of relationships, that two people can come together and make each other better and happier than they were alone, and they will take great efforts to show support and affection in order to make this ideal a reality. I like to think that two heads are better than one. Mediators aren't necessarily in a rush to commit. They are, after all, prospecting types, and are almost always looking to either establish a new relationship or improve an existing one. I'm more on the side of improving the ones I already have. If it does mean establishing a new relationship, that could mean like a new friend that I've met that I really like vibe with and connect with, and it's just like, oh, like I hope we can just, create a new relationship with us where it's like long term. In dating, mediators will often start with a flurry of comparisons, exploring all the ways the current flame matches with the ideal they've imagined. If incompatibilities and conflict over this initial rush mount, the relationship can end quickly, with mediators likely saying that it wasn't meant to be. I could say I was more of a hopeless romantic. As a relationship takes hold, people with the mediator personality type will show themselves to be passionate, hopeless romantics. Like I've said, I am a hopeless romantic, while still respecting their partner's independence. Mediators take the time to understand those they care about, while at the same time helping them to learn, grow, and change, which is very true in a sense in my current relationship right now with my girlfriend. While mediators are well-meaning, not everyone appreciates what can come across as constantly being told that they need to improve, or put another way, that they're not good enough. This aversion to conflict, while contributing greatly to stability in the relationship when done right, is probably the most urgent quality for mediators to work on. Between their sensitivity and imagination, mediators are prone to internalizing even objective statements and facts, reading into the themes and exaggerated consequences, sometimes responding as though these comments are metaphors designed to threaten the very foundations of their principles. I tend to overthink a lot of things. Naturally, this is almost certainly an overreaction, and mediators should practice what they preach and focus on improving their ability to respond to criticism with calm objectivity rather than irrational accusations and weaponized guilt. I am focusing on improving my ability to respond with criticism with calm objectivity. Even though sometimes it doesn't happen, but I try for it. I try. People with this personality type are generous in their affection, with a clear preference for putting the pleasure of their partners first. It is in knowing that their partners are satisfied that mediators truly feel the most pleasure. Everything that they're saying about relationships, romantic relationships, very true in a sense for me. The true friends of people with the mediator personality type tend to be few and far between, but those that make the cut are often friends for life. They are excellent at reading into others' feelings and motivations, but are often unwilling to provide others the same insight into themselves. It's as though mediators like the idea of human contact, but not the reality of social contact, which is very true. I hate social contact, but I love human contact. So it just depends on what kind of social contact. I'm assuming we like to put ourselves in very comfortable situations. So, like for example, a house party. Some INFPs might not enjoy it, but if it's like a kickback with a few select friends, we thrive in those situations. Trust me. In a lot of ways, this limits the potential pool of friends to other types in the diplomat role group, who are able to pick up on the subtle clues left by their mediator friends, and who are more likely than not to enjoy something of a human enigma. To top it all off, ideas like networking and the friend of my friend is my friend hold little weight with mediators. Friendships are earned on their own merit by dint of the intuitive respect mediators have for those with similar principles and values, rather than more practical alignments like those of coworkers, which is very true in a sense. I have a very small circle, very small, and if those people do not fit my beliefs and values in that tiny circle, then they are out here in my big circle, which are friends/acquaintances. Not saying that most people watch this are friends/acquaintances, but you know who you are. Mediators' tendency to protect their sensitive inner cores and values from criticism, especially if they are on the more turbulent side of the spectrum, means that acquaintances will likely get nowhere near them without sustained and tactful effort. True. But if mediators' shields are properly navigated and they decide to open up and trust another person, a strong, stable friendship will ensue, marked by passionate support and idealism, subtle poetic wit, and a level of emotional insight that is hard to match. The only person I can say so far that's kind of hit that is my girlfriend, obviously, which she is my best friend. Mediators' friends will be rewarded with calm, sensitivity, and depth, and an ever-present desire to help, learn, and grow. Which is true. I like helping people. I love helping them learn. I love helping people grow as the person they are, whether it's to improve themselves or those around me. It just feels good. It's very rewarding to know that, I took a part in someone's growth. Mediators will always need to disappear for a while, removing themselves from others so they can recenter on their own minds and feelings, which is so very true. I can get caught up in other people's problems and issues sometimes, and I don't really take the time to just kind of take a second for myself. Career paths. It is perhaps more challenging for mediators to find a satisfying career than any other type. Too many mediators drift in frustration, ultimately succumbing to the necessities of day-to-day life in a job that wasn't meant for them. First and foremost is seemingly every mediator's dream growing up to become an author. While a novel is a classic choice, it is rarely an accessible one, and there are many viable options for freedom-loving mediators. The internet brings to the world the opportunities of blogging and freelance work. As organizations expand their reach beyond their native tongues, they will come to depend on mediator personality types with their gift for language and written expression to take their rougher translations and stale pitches and inject them with a sense of beauty and poetry. I think I wanted to become like a comic book artist for some reason. I remember drawing the rectangles and just trying to draw stick figure scenes of just whatever I could come up with. I was very artistic in a sense because I was just always cooped up at home. So if to do were as easy as to know what were good to do, where mediators will not thrive is in a high-stress, team-heavy, busy environment that burdens them with bureaucracy and tedium. So true. High stress doesn't sit well with me. I tend to get more clumsier with if I do work in a high stress environment, team heavy environment, busy environment. That burns me with bureaucracy, hint hint, working at a restaurant, hint hint. In the workplace, mediators face the challenge of taking their work and their profession personally. To mediators, if it isn't worth doing, it isn't really worth doing. In this sense, the moral purpose in their work colors everything from how they respond to authority to how they express it. If I'm just not feeling it, I'm not feeling it, you know? Like, I gotta feel it, Mr. Krabs. While some types, especially those in the analyst role group, respond favorably to negative feedback, taking criticism as an opportunity to not make the same mistake twice, people with a mediator personality type would much rather hear what they did right and focus on what to do rather than what not to do. And that is so very true as well. I love hearing what I'm doing right and what I can improve on, but sometimes when people tell me what I didn't do right and I need to focus on that, it's just like, but sometimes I know I did good work that kind of outweighs the negatives, so why aren't you telling me that I did good in the first place? Like, In conclusion, few personality types are as poetic and kind-hearted as mediators. Their altruism and vivid imagination allow mediators to overcome many challenging obstacles, more often than not, brightening the lives of those around them. Mediators' creativity is invaluable in many areas, including their own personal growth. Yet, mediators can be easily tripped up in areas where idealism and altruism are more of a liability than an asset. Whether it is finding or keeping a partner, making friends, reaching dazzling heights on the career ladder, or planning for the future, mediators need to put in a conscious effort to develop their weaker traits and additional skills. Sorry this was such a long video. Sorry but not sorry, because if you've watched this far, thank you so much for supporting. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you disliked it, give it a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Share this video with others. It really means a lot to me. I kind of need some constructive criticism, even though this whole video went over about constructive criticism. Yeah, I still need to work on my intro a lot more than my outro. Well, both. I need to work on my intro and my outro. More videos like these will be coming soon, especially with different people, because I have such a diverse friend group. So it'd be great to know what kind of personality they are. And yeah, just stay tuned.